lot to talk about now with this trade deadline approaching.
Yeah, it seems like it's been a bit slow, there are all these rumors, people going all over the place. Juan Soto has been in the news forever. We finally got, one deal, Andrew Benintendi to the Yankees, All-Star. I think that was pretty good and huge for them. Um, but I do definitely expect this weekend's going to be kind of crazy.
Yeah, we should have some things flying. By the way, trade deadline is August 2nd. I believe that is next Tuesday.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, Andrew Benintendi, kind of the first big domino to fall, which I believe you tweeted that out. Quick reminder, follow the Twitter rounding third now. That's rounding 3RD now. Um, see all the latest content and clips from games there. But Max, Andrew Benintendi to the Yankees, taking one of those outfield spots, more than likely Joey Gallo, who's on the block. How do you think, is this an indication that New York is officially out of the Soto sweepstakes, or what was your read on that?
Yeah, I do think they're out of the Soto sweepstakes. I just don't think they can make the move right now. But I think this Andrew Benintendi thing is great for them. I mean, their outfield's their weakest area. I mean, they've got Stanton, not really an outfielder. Judge has been playing great, but then Gallo and Hicks aren't, performing the way they'd hope. Gallo is definitely on the trade market. I've heard the Padres, I think another team, but these teams don't want to give up the prospect the Yankees want because, I mean, Gallo has not played well since he's been in New York. Um, but I think it's a huge trade. I think it really helps them solidify their outfield core, give it a little more hitting. I mean, Andrew Benintendi's an all-star. He's got a history in this league. I think it's a great move for the Yankees. I expect them to still be in the market for one of the arms that we're going to talk about, Pablo Lopez, Castillo, Montas, one of these guys. I think they'll still be in the market, but I don't expect the Yankees to really be in the Soto trade market anymore, and I don't think they are.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the admission, kind of the stepping off point. As you mentioned, they've kind of juiced up their outfield now, brought it up to where I think it needs to be. No reason to give up the pro. And I'm pretty sure the trade that the Nationals were asking for was their five of their top 10 prospects, and in addition, Gleyber Torres. So pretty big haul there. And if you already have Benatendi, no real reason. As you mentioned, All Star, big bat out there. Going to be interesting because, of course, Benatendi was a Red Sox last year. So see part of that championship team as well, that outfield with Mookie Betts. So it'll be interesting to see if playing in the pinstripes is hard for him at all.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. I do just think this is a great move for that team overall. I mean, it just gives them more flexibility. I mean, Benintendi, he could DH sometimes, but it also allows you to keep Stanton as the primary DH, not necessarily make him play outfield as much. It also lets you maybe not keep Aaron Hicks as I mean, he'll still be a common player in that lineup, but I think they would like to take a step back from using him as often because he is just not very good. But I love the trade. We'll see what else happens, but this does feel like the first kind of all-star type big name player from a poor team getting moved. So it's exciting. We're only a few days away.
What trade are you, or what guy on the block are you most excited about falling and
I mean,
moving?
Soto. It has to be Soto. I mean, for many reasons. One, the Cardinals. I know I'm wearing a Mariners hat, but the Cardinals are, right in the mix, one of the top two teams competing for him. It seems like it's them and the Padres. But other than that, I am interested in a lot of these pitchers, Castillo and Montas in particular. I know we're gonna like give predictions for all these guys, but I think they're huge pieces that a team like the Dodgers, for example, could love to have with all their injuries in their rotation. So who knows? But I think Juan Soto is the guy, the Kevin Durant trade market. Like he is the guy that everybody's eyes on.
He's going to be the biggest one. I feel like as it's gone along, my thoughts on if he'll actually get traded have decreased. Um, I still think he probably does, but at least Washington not willing to part ways with him yet, even though the packages have been huge, all rumored, but the potential package has been huge, which we know they would have to be. I mean, Juan Soto's already a generational talent. He's 23 years old. He's younger than the prospects you're trading, and he's a generational MLB talent. So I don't know. I think he ends up in St. Louis, Max. I know you won't want to say that. You don't want the jinx, but if I was a betting man, that's where I think he's going.
You know, it's just hard for me to even believe it. You know, I would love it, and everybody says he's up there, and I think we can put a package together that would be very tasty and better than a lot of what other teams could provide. I mean, we've got a ton of big league ready prospects that have already been playing every day for us, plus Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn, some top guys. There's no question we could put a package together they would want. I don't know what we'll give up. I'm a little worried. Like if I see we traded for Soto, I'm gonna be pumped up, but I'm gonna hold back a little bit. I don't want to see Jordan Walker there. I don't want to see Dylan Carlson there. Um, Pretty much everyone else, like Nolan Gorman, honestly, he's been great, but it's Juan Soto. Uh, so you know, I'm not getting too excited yet. I also I did hear Ken Rosenthal say he thinks Soto will be traded by the deadline. He just That's kind of the vibe he's getting, and I kind of feel that way too. But we'll see. It's interesting. Cardinals play at Washington over the weekend, going into the deadline. So would be a perfect time for Mo to get some one-on-one time with the Nats GM. Get Soto to just pack his bags, come right across the hall. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Soto left his home run derby trophy and chain in the LA visitors locker room. So at that point, I just assumed he was coming to town. But after the Nationals came back, I believe he took all that memorabilia with him. So I think LA's out on him.
Yeah, yeah. It really seems like the field's narrowing quite a bit. But let's get into these predictions because I mean we're talking about the trade deadline. We made a list, 5 guys, James, right? 5 guys. We're going to give a prediction where we think they end up.
Well, I've said mine. Let's just start with Soto. That's what we were talking about. I've said mine. I think he's a Cardinal. I think by Tuesday, he's a Redbird. Interested to hear if that's where you have him.
You know, I actually said he's going to be a Padre. I just think, you know, even though the Cardinals are there, they're in the mix. I think we need to prioritize pitching, and I might have the Cardinals on my list for another guy we're going to talk about. But I just think Soto, I could see him in San Diego. I could see him wearing their jersey. I could see him playing with Tatis and Machado. So I'm going San Diego for Soto, but I would love him to be in St. Louis.
It would be incredible to trade three of your top prospects to still be 20 games back and never win your division. Gotta love the San Diego Little Brothers.
Okay, let me shoot one back at you. That was Soto. How about Wilson Contreras, catcher for the Chicago Cubs? Longtime Cub, had an emotional moment at Wrigley Field hugging Ian Happ, both expected to be traded. Where do you think Wilson Contreras ends up?
This is a tough one because really knowing who needs a catcher and where he ends up, because he also could DH. That's what's sort of been on my head is maybe he gets thrown in as a DH and then you can kind of switch off and on catcher duties. This is the hardest one that I think I had to place. And really, I'm kind of just taking a feeler here. Again, I have Soto going to the Cardinals. I have the Padres coming in to bolster their lineup. It's kind of an out there prediction, but this one I struggled with, Max. Interested to see where you went.
The Padres are an interesting choice, I think, just with them having Nola and Alfaro. But yeah, I mean, it'd be good for them. I went with the Houston Astros. Um, I think I might have hinted at this a while ago. I just think he's a good fit. I think Maldonado's just not giving the offensive production the team wants. I know he's a great defensive catcher, people say, and he can really run that rotation with Framber Valdez and Javier. But I think he would fit in. This is a team that is only a couple games behind the Yankees for best record in baseball. Going to compete for a World Series once again. Getting a guy like Wilson Contreras, I mean, it's perfect for them. And I think he'd fit right in and be the type of guy that team needs. And he can definitely DH as well. I mean, I know they have Jordan, but they can move things around and get him into the DH spot if they need to.
Yeah, I like the pick. I think Houston probably is the most logical decision and landing spot. For me, it's just Maldonado means too much to the rotation. I do believe when you switch off catchers, sometimes you get that offense, but if you lose it in pitching, it doesn't necessarily matter. Again, I watch Austin Barnes play every 4 or 5 games just because it makes Kershaw a better pitcher, and I'm fine eating that offense in the 9 hole.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, to me, we've talked about the two biggest bats up to this point that I would say that are probably going to get moved. There's a couple other pieces here, there. Again, Joey Gallo probably going somewhere, but I think that doesn't really matter. But to me, the premium's on arms. There's a lot of teams that can use an extra arm. You can always use an extra pitcher. Pitchers win playoff games. And there's 3 really good ones on the block. I made a TikTok about this. So, again, shout out to the TikTok, Rounding Third Pod. Um, Always got content coming out there. But one that I'm interested in, to me, this is one that I didn't expect to be on the block. Didn't really get on the block till recently, and I think is the best pitcher of the group. Pablo Lopez, Miami Marlins. Where do you think he ends up, Max? Do you think he gets moved?
He's a guy out of all the guys we're going to talk about, the 5 guys, him being the third, that I think is most likely to stay put in Miami. I think the rest of the guys are likely on the move. I think the Marlins have a pretty good young core with Sandy and Jazz that they might want to keep him and be a solid piece in that rotation. But if they were to move him, the spot that I was researching about and looking at was actually the Toronto Blue Jays. I think this is a team that's kind of solidified themselves, I think, as the best wild card team, or maybe not best wild card team, but second best team in the American League East after just destroying the Red Sox in Fenway. And I think their rotation is a little bit banged up. They don't have Kikuchi, they don't have Hyunjin Ryu anymore. And having another guy like him behind um, Alek Manoah, Jose Barrios, Gossman, then throw in Pablo Lopez, that's now a rotation that I think is really going to compete for a World Series, as opposed to kind of this banged up 4 or 5 spot they have now. And I think they could make the deal work. I think Pablo Lopez could end up in Toronto. What about you?
I like that pick. I really didn't consider Toronto, but that would bolster their attempts. To me, I went hometown here. I know LA's trying to juice up their bullpen and their arms and just get some arms because they have probably the 5th best rotation sitting on the IL right now. Um, but I've got them going to LA. Also, I believe part of what brings them to LA is the Dodgers are scouting and interested in Garrett Cooper. If we know anything from the Nationals trade, the Dodgers are great at pairing a pitcher, position player, and just doing the package. That's my take on it. Would love to have Pablo Lopez in the Ravine.
Yeah, for sure. 2 more pitchers. I'm going to throw one at you. The Cincinnati Red, Luis Castillo. Um, Super hot on the market. Great pitcher. Almost certainly going to be dealt. Where do you see Castillo going?
Can I just, before I even answer that, Luis Castillo, very, very good pitcher. He's a 159 ERA plus. Again, ERA plus of 100 would be league average. So he is 59% better ERA than any other pitcher in the league. I like Pablo Lopez a little bit more, but I think Castillo is probably the most reliable starter in this trade. For me, this is something I've been predicting, and I've said it since the Reds fire sale last summer. They said we won't trade Castillo. Everyone knew he was out at some point. Made no sense. I said it then. I've said it throughout the season. I've said it now. He's wearing pinstripes. He's going to New York. I have almost no question on this. Now that they're out on Soto, really, they have Benintendi. The focus is on pitching. I think Castillo is a New York Yankee before the weekend ends.
Yeah, I think that's very possible, maybe even the most likely choice. I was between them and the team I'm gonna pick, which is the Los Angeles Dodgers. Um, to me, it just seems like he's gonna be in pinstripes or he's gonna be in LA. Both of those teams are 2 of the best teams in baseball. Both of those teams could use another arm. Dodgers for sure could use another arm. Um, and so I just think the Dodgers are in the market for an arm. So I'm gonna pick the Dodgers. I think he would just fit in there, fit right into the rotation. The Cardinals obviously also need a pitcher, but given the National League Central rivalry, I just don't see the Reds trading him to another Central team and having him beat up on him for the next couple of years. So I like Castillo in LA, but if we got a notification right now that he was moved to the New York Yankees, would not surprise me one bit.
I would have some past clips to tweet out if that happens. Uh, yeah, I think you're definitely right. LA's in the market for a pitcher now. If everyone comes back healthy, the playoff rotation bullpen will be crazy. But they're in the market, and I think if they do that, Brandon Drury's coming. I don't know what it is, but when Andrew Friedman's at the helm, he loves just packaging that. I think they need a little bit of infield support. I could very much see that happening, and I'd welcome it. Luis Castillo is a badass. And with that, Max takes us to our last player. We are going to touch on another guy on a fire sale team that we predicted would get traded over the summer. And they're like, oh, we'll wait to the trade deadline. It's a classy thing to do. That is the distraught, just terrible Oakland Athletics. And I'm talking about Frankie Montas. Uh, a very quality arm, but certainly the batch we've listed would be the third best, I think.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I think he's still a great pitcher, and he could provide a lot of value to a team. The A's have a lot of players who might be moved. Ramon Laureano, Sean Murphy, both have been rumored to go everywhere. Both, even Cleveland, has been a hot spot for Ramon Laureano in particular and Sean Murphy. Both apparently not only could go to Cleveland, but want to go to Cleveland. Um, but Frankie Montas, I have him coming to the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals should prioritize getting Frankie Montas. They've been in the trade rumors for Frankie Montas. They need a pitcher. They need starting arms more than they need Juan Soto. With Steven Matz going down, Michaelis has been great. Wayno's up and down. Hudson started good, but has had some blow up starts. And other than that, like Andre Palante has like less than 30 career appearances, and he's every 5 days he's starting. So we need a starting pitcher, especially if we want any chance to go deep in the postseason. Is Soto and Montas too much to ask? Maybe, but I think Frankie Montas at least will end up in St. Louis.
I think they could put that package together. It would just be about every prospect that which still could be worth it. If you're adding that bat and that arm, you very well could get Albert a ring. Love that team. And what's crazy is we did not talk about this. We didn't discuss this. I'm in exact alignment with you. To me, this was probably the easiest to place, no brainer. Um, I do agree with you. I think Frankie Montas is going to the Cardinals. Every reason you laid out, they need an arm. I just don't think they're going to compete for the bigger ones to keep their options open. I think they can get Frankie Montas at a little bit of a cheaper price compared to the rest. Think he's a great arm, and it could be exactly what they need, Max.
Yeah, I mean it's exciting. It's exciting. I think the Cardinals are just like they're just like built like a team that's gonna make a move at the deadline, right? We have Goldie, who is the clear favorite to win NL MVP. I won't say clear favorite, but the favorite to win NL MVP. Arenado, who's Arenado. We're getting Tyler O'Neill back, who struggled early, but ever since he's come back, he's been hitting well. Um, and getting those guys kind of in their prime, this is the time where you need to make a move. And the reason I say that they're primed to make a move is they've got all these MLB ready young guys. Think about our team every day. We've got Gorman, Donovan, Yepes, and the guys who haven't come up: Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn, Matthew Liberatore, who's made a ton of starts. These are top prospects, MLB ready prospects, surrounded by just guys, superstars in their prime. Plus Yachty, Wayno, Albert, likely in their last year. Wayno, when I say likely, this is the year to do it. This is the time to do it. And I think they're going to make a splash. So it's super exciting. And I'm sure you feel the same way. Dodgers in a lot of talks.
Yeah, Dodgers, and honestly, I don't really think the Dodgers need to trade and acquire any pieces. They've played incredibly well. As I mentioned, their IL contains some of the best arms in baseball, so that's like trading in its own right. But I just want to echo what you said with St. Louis. I don't think it can be understated how important to the franchise the fact that this is the farewell tour of the big three, uh, how much you got to go, and of course, as you said, in some ways, I think the injuries that the Cardinals have had may have helped them in all of this because they got to show the league not only are our prospects MLB ready, they've good in the MLB. They're making real contributions. I think it's the perfect storm, and I think the Cardinals get both Soto and Frankie Montas. That makes them a terrifying, terrifying team.
I mean, I can't even think about that. I mean, if we got Frankie and Juan Soto, I mean,
Wake up,
that would be
Mo.
something special.
Tell Mo to wake up. It's time.
Dude, people, Cardinals Twitter sometimes drives me crazy because these people hate Mo, which I mean, sometimes it's justified, but they just always get on him for not making moves. Like we got Arenado, we got Goldie, we got Matt Holliday in 2013. Like, or it might have been before then. I forget when we got Matt Holliday, but I mean, he's made moves. We've competed almost every single year, except kind of during those Matheny years post 2013. But you know, I think Mo's done a great job, and I think he's going to make a splash here. If he doesn't, then I think we could pile the hate on.
Oh wow, okay. So you're ready to go.
Maybe
See,
not. Maybe not hate him, but
I've
give him
never
a
been
little more
in that.
criticism.
At least in the last like decade, I haven't been in that position because the Dodgers buy every single year. I don't really understand how, but they do, and that has not worked out in their favor most years. So we'll see what comes back. Again, one of their big acquisitions, Danny Duffy, literally has never pitched a baseball for them. They signed him again to a 1 year deal, and he just hangs out, permanent residence on the injured list. Shout out to him. Would love to see him pitch at least one ball. But
I think
that
I think the Dodgers do need to make a move for an arm. Like I know you have Julio and Kershaw's pitching out of his mind. And sure, like Anderson and Ian White, like these guys have pitched well, but
Tony Gonsolin,
Walker Bueller, you'll get Bueller back, but like even before his injury, he was not the Walker Bueller everybody expected. And now coming off the 60-day IL might be questionable. And I think you need another arm that can be a starter in that game 3 of the World Series. And you feel comfortable with him going out there against, say, Nestor Cortez or Justin Verlander. I think you need another arm, but maybe I'm wrong.